I'm the intern who skipped work today. Not because I'm lazy, not because I hate my job, but because my chest felt tight the second I swiped my badge, and the elevator doors opened on a floor that always smells like lemon cleaner and performance reviews. I walked right back out, bought a coffee I didn't need, and told myself I'd come back after lunch. I didn't. I sat across the street instead in the shadow of the parking garage, watching my own office windows reflect a sky that looked like it was pretending to be calm. If I'd gone in, I wouldn't have seen what I saw, and tonight there might not be cops coming to our building. My name is Evan. I'm 23, 3 weeks into an early career program at a mid-sized marketing firm that thinks it's bigger than it is. I'm the guy who triple checks things, calendar invites, header fonts, whether the CEO prefers his initials in the footer. I'm not important. That's useful if you want to be invisible. I was assigned to brand ops under Riley Hart, a manager who can smile with her mouth while her eyes keep moving. She keeps paper files like it's 2006, binder clips sorted by color, like a personality test. She calls everyone rock star when she needs something, and champ when she's finished needing it. On my second day, she told me, "If you're ever unsure, bring it to me on paper. Paper focuses the mind." It sounded wise until I noticed paper mostly means no audit trail. The week had been strange in quiet ways. 2 vendor contracts reprinted 3 times, for clarity. A calendar invite from Riley to the CEO, Mr. Keating, blocked as budget sync, even though Brand Ops doesn't touch budget. A locked drawer in Riley's desk that clicked closed every time I stood up. None of it illegal by itself, just friction around the edges. This morning I swiped in at 8:04, saw the red badge light flash green, heard the elevator ding, and felt nothing but static in my chest. I stepped into the elevator, stared at the panel, and stepped back out. I'm not proud of skipping, but it's the truth. I bought a coffee, sat on the low concrete wall by the garage entrance, and tried to read emails on my phone. I watched people arrive because I didn't have anything else to watch. Riley showed up at 8:31, alone, walking too fast for heels. She didn't use the front revolving door. She cut through the garage, zigzag, eyes on the ground like she was measuring steps. She carried her usual leather tote in a slim black pouch I'd never seen. I noticed because the pouch was too small to be a laptop and too stiff to be makeup. She disappeared into the stairwell. I told myself to stop making stories out of objects. Nothing in my life is a thriller. I am a guy who fixes widows and orphans in slide decks. At 8:49, the CEO's driver pulled up in the lane. Black sedan, engine low and polite. Keating walked out of the front lobby with his phone to his ear, talking in the tone executives use when they want people to think they're not worried. He's in his 50s, neat, careful, the kind of man who notices scuffed shoes and missing commas. He keeps a canvas messenger bag that looks cheaper than it is. He slung it over the back of a bench near the valet stand while he talked, like he'd done it 1,000 times, like the bag was an extension of his shadow. From where I sat, I had the angle nobody inside ever does. Garage mouth to my left, valet stand to my right, a strip of landscaping between, boxwoods, low. If I turned my head, I could see reception through the glass. If I kept still, I could see layers of people who would never see me. Riley came out of the stairwell at 8:52. She didn't look left or right, just straight, like there was only the path she'd memorized. She held her tote snug to her ribs and the black pouch under it, half hidden. Keating's back was to her. His bag was on the bench, strap hanging. His driver had the trunk open. The front desk guard was waving to a courier. The whole scene had a gap in it, like a note held too long in a piece of music. I stood up without meaning to, then sat back down because movement felt loud. I lifted my phone like I was reading. My heart did the thing where it tries to climb your throat. Riley stopped at the corner of the planter, half shadowed by a column. She adjusted her tote, peeked at the lobby without turning her head, scanned the glass once. Her mouth did a small exhale. She moved. It wasn't dramatic. No spy movie choreography. She walked like an employee late to a meeting, paused at the bench, as if to pick up an imaginary dropped pen, and her hand went in and out of the canvas bag, in a single, practiced, quiet motion. The black pouch wasn't in her hand when she straightened. It was gone. She smoothed the bag strap where it had twisted, the way people tidy things to feel normal. Then she kept walking, past the valet stand, around the column, and back into the building through a side door that needs a badge if you don't know where it sticks. Keating never turned around. He ended his call, shouldered the bag, and followed his driver. He didn't feel the extra weight, or if he did, he filed it under a not relevant right now. The lobby guard went back to his stool. The courier signed. Someone laughed on the sidewalk at something that had nothing to do with any of this. I didn't move. Not for 30 seconds, maybe a minute. A delivery truck hissed past and left the faint smell of diesel. A busker on the corner started tuning a guitar he wouldn't play well. My coffee had gone cold. Inside my head, every sentence I could think of started with what I didn't know. What was in the pouch? Why Riley would risk her job? Why my badge had pinged the entry logs if I was sitting outside pretending to be furniture? The last part hit late. My badge had pinged. I'd swiped in. If someone wanted a name to attach to a timestamp near a problem, I had given it to them. Riley reappeared in the reflection on the glass. Just for a second, a ghost image layered over the lobby plants before the door shut behind her. She wasn't breathing hard. She looked like people look when they've just put away laundry. I swallowed. I told myself to walk into the building like I belonged there because on paper I did. My legs didn't agree. Instead, I opened my notes app and wrote the time. 8:52. Bench by valet. Black pouch. Left hand. No hesitation. It felt stupid and small, typing it like that. It also felt like the only thing that might be real enough later. Across the street, the elevator dinged again. I could have stood, crossed, swiped, ridden up, dropped into my chair, and pretended the day was a regular Wednesday with regular meetings and regular jokes about the snack budget. I could have told myself I hadn't seen what I'd seen. At 9:06, Keating's car pulled away, smooth as always. The bag rode with him, quiet, obedient. I watched the taillights until they joined the general red of morning traffic and meant nothing to anyone but me. I finally stood up. My legs worked fine. I tossed the coffee in the trash by the garage. Missed the first time, tried again. Got it in on the second because sometimes dignity is doing small things right. I crossed at the light, walked into the lobby, nodded at the guard like I had been somewhere on purpose, and pressed the elevator button with a finger that didn't feel like mine. The car opened. I stepped in. The doors slid shut. In the mirrored steel, I saw a kid who looked like he wanted to be a grown man, and for the first time in 3 weeks, I wondered if being invisible had helped me or hurt me. On 7, the doors opened to lemon cleaner and low conversations. I walked to my desk. Riley's office door was cracked. She was inside, hair tucked behind one ear, flipping pages in a binder as if paper could bless her. She didn't look up. I sat down, opened my laptop, and pretended to read an onboarding PDF I'd already read twice. My hands were steady. My mouth was dry. The morning moved around me. At 9:18, Riley's Slack pinged our channel. Quick sync at 9:30. Rockstars, bring yesterday's printouts. I watched the message glow on my screen, 2 little dots pulsing as she added, "Also, Evan, can you swing by 5 minutes earlier? Need your help on a drop-off." I stared at those words until they stopped looking like English. Then I typed back the only thing that made sense in a world that had just quietly tilted. Sure. When I walked into her office at 9:25, Riley looked like calm in human form. White blouse, notebook open, pen angled just so. On the corner of her desk sat the black coffee mug with the chipped handle. She smiled when she saw me, that soft manager smile that looks real from across the room but breaks if you get too close. "Evan," she said, like my name was a relief. "Can you do me a quick favor? There's a folder in the printer room labeled vendor data. I need you to drop it in Keating's office before lunch. He's expecting it. My stomach turned over once, then settled. She was careful, measured, and too smooth. Sure, I said. Perfect. She tapped her pen twice on the desk. And, Evan, no need to tell anyone. I just want to make sure it gets there on time. I left the room before my face could show what my brain was doing, looping back to the black pouch, the bag, the way her hand had moved like it had practiced 1,000 times. At 9:30, the sync started. She breezed through updates like nothing existed outside her slides. My screen showed bullet points about Q2 brand alignment, but my eyes kept drifting to her wrist. Same silver bracelet. Same steady tapping on the keyboard. Every now and then she looked up, scanning faces, reading the room, tracking reactions. She didn't look at me once. That was worse than if she had. After the meeting, I went to the printer room. The folder was there. Brown envelope, labeled in black marker. Sealed. Keating's name on the top tab. It sat there like it had been waiting specifically for me. I didn't touch it. I just stared at it for maybe a full minute, heart pulsing behind my ribs, before someone came in behind me. Yo, Evan, you grabbing that for Riley? It was Thomas from Analytics. Yeah, I said too quickly. Cool. Heard Keating's losing it upstairs, he said, shrugging half a grin. Something about the audit drive. It's on fire. You didn't hear that from me. I nodded. Right. Audit drive. My hand froze on the folder. I carried it anyway, because not carrying it would raise questions, because saying no would look wrong, because sometimes you act normal when you know nothing around you is. The CEO's assistant, Lila, took it with a distracted, "Thanks, hun." Her eyes were already on her monitor. I watched her walk it through the glass door to his office, knock once, and disappear inside. When I got back downstairs, Riley was waiting by the break area, leaning against the counter with her arms crossed. Got it delivered? Yeah. Good. You're a lifesaver. Anything else? I asked, voice flat. She smiled. Not unless you're hiding superpowers. If guilt has a smell, it's somewhere between perfume and toner. Around noon, the office started buzzing, whispers spreading like static down the hall, laptops closing mid-sentence. Compliance meeting! Data breach. Legal. The kind of words that make you feel colder than air conditioning ever could. At 12:40, a company-wide email hit. All staff, please remain available for brief departmental interviews today. Thank you for your cooperation. No one ate lunch after that. At 1:15, a man from IT walked straight into our area with a security badge and a face that didn't do small talk. He unplugged Riley's desktop without a word, dropped it into a black case, and left. Riley just blinked, slow. Then she laughed, quiet but sharp. Well, she said, looks like my laptop's the villain today. Nobody laughed with her. At 2 my name was called. HR wanted to see me. I followed the hallway past framed mission statements that suddenly felt like inside jokes. The conference room smelled of stale coffee and air that had been recycled too many times. A woman from HR sat on one side, a man from security on the other, both polite, both unreadable. Evan, the woman began, you were logged into the system at 8:46 this morning? Yes. Can you describe your activities between 8:30 and 9:00? I wasn't in the office, I said slowly. I came back a little after 9. The man's pen stopped moving. Your badge shows an entry at 8:04. I left right after, I said. Didn't clock out. Did anyone see you leave? I don't think so. They exchanged a look. That kind of look that means you're either lying or about to matter. The woman smiled in that HR way that means the opposite of comfort. One more question, Evan. Did Ms. Hart give you any physical materials to handle this morning? My throat closed. Yes, I said. A folder from Mr. Keating. Did she mention what was inside? No. Did you open it? No. The pen started moving again. All right. That's all for now. They let me go. I walked back to my desk like a person walking underwater. Riley wasn't there. Her chair was turned slightly. one wheel locked on the edge of the rug. Her coat still hung on the back. Her coffee mug was gone. At 3:20, security escorted her through the main hallway. Not handcuffed, not fighting, just moving. Straight ahead, eyes open, expression blank, like someone who already knew how this scene would end. Nobody said a word, just the sound of heels on tile fading toward the elevators. 5 minutes later, an email from Keating. Effective immediately. Brand Ops Management will transition to interim oversight pending investigation. Please direct all inquiries to compliance. I sat at my desk, staring at the screen. My reflection looked ghostly against the white of the message. Everyone else pretended to keep working, pretended to breathe normally, pretended this wasn't the biggest thing to happen here in 5 years. At 5:12, my phone buzzed. Private number. I hesitated, then answered. A voice, low, tight, too calm. Delete the note you made this morning, 8:52. Bench by valet. Delete it now. Click. The line went dead. I sat there with my phone in my hand, the sound of office chatter fading to a dull hum. Riley had been escorted out, but someone still knew. Someone was still watching. I opened my notes app. The line I'd typed was still there. Time-stamped. Quiet. Waiting. I didn't delete it. I just stared at it until my reflection in the screen blurred. Then I locked my phone, shoved it in my pocket, and told myself something that wasn't true but sounded like survival. It's over. But that was just the beginning. By the next morning, my badge didn't work. It buzzed red against the reader. 3 short beeps. The sound of being erased. I stood there for a second too long, holding my coffee, pretending I was just early. The security guard at the front desk looked up from his tablet. Try again, he said. I did. Same red flash. He checked his screen. Says here your access is pending. Pending what? He just shrugged. You'll need to talk to compliance. Riley's office door was closed. Not locked. Just empty. Nameplate gone. Shelves stripped clean. The only thing left was the faint square outline where her monitor had sat for years. It felt like she'd been erased faster than a typo. I made it to my desk by following someone else through the door. The kind of small rebellion that makes you feel brave for exactly 10 seconds. In my inbox, nothing official. In Slack, silence. In the air, tension so thick it felt like gravity. At 9:12, a message dropped from an unrecognized address. You shouldn't have written that note, Evan. Compliance will ask to see your phone. Delete it before they do. No name. Just that. It wasn't Riley. The tone was wrong. Colder, distant, almost rehearsed. I closed the laptop, heart pounding. I knew I should report it. But to who? HR had already decided I was the convenient timestamp between a data breach and a manager under investigation. I was a nobody. Nobody was easy to blame. By noon, rumors had turned into facts nobody could confirm. Riley had been caught transferring internal data, client reports, projections, even financial memos, to an external drive, the pouch, the one I saw. Only it wasn't found in Keating's office. It was gone. And now there was one more convenient link between her and that drive. Me. The intern who delivered a folder. At 1:04, I got an email from Internal Investigations. Please bring your device and phone to Conference 2B at 2 p.m. Do not delete or alter any files. Thank you for your cooperation. I reread the last line 3 times. Do not delete or alter any files. Someone was already trying to make me do the opposite. That's when I remembered the cameras. There were 2 outside-facing lenses by the valet stand. I'd seen them 100 times, but never noticed what direction they pointed. I opened the office directory and searched building security footage. The link led to an intranet request form that required manager approval. Riley's name was still on the drop-down list. I clicked it anyway. Form submitted. No confirmation. Just a quiet pulse of adrenaline that made my hands shake. At 2 sharp, I walked into Conference 2B. A man in a gray suit and a woman from compliance were already there. The same woman from HR yesterday, her voice polished and kind. "Evan," she said, "have a seat. Just a few questions." They asked about my morning, about the folder, about what Riley said, about the timing of my arrival. Every answer I gave felt like stepping deeper into wet cement. "Did you see her interact with Mr. Keating's belongings in any way?" My throat tightened. "No," I said. "Not directly." Not directly. The two words that sound safe until you realize they're the difference between truth and perjury. The man leaned forward. "We have logs showing your badge entry and her access to restricted systems within the same time window. That's unusual, don't you think?" "I guess." "Do you know if Ms. Hart might have given you any materials that were not authorized to be delivered?" "I wouldn't know what's authorized," I said. He scribbled something in his notebook. The kind of scribble that doesn't help you. When the interview ended, they took my company phone. Not asked for, took. By 3 my desk access was revoked entirely. I was told to work remotely until further notice, which was corporate for "you're under suspicion, but we can't say it yet." I sat in my car in the underground garage, staring at the reflection of fluorescent light in the windshield. Every instinct screamed that I was next. Collateral damage in a story I hadn't written. Then my personal phone buzzed. Unknown number again. "They're going to make you the leak, Evan. Check your email drafts. Hers, not yours." I blinked. Hers. I still had my personal laptop, and during onboarding, Riley had once logged into her company email from my desk while mine was updating. If the cache hadn't cleared, I opened the laptop. Browser. History. There it was. Webmail.intrabrand.local. Login. Cached credentials. Autofill still active. I clicked. The inbox opened. Half her emails were gone, deleted or archived somewhere I couldn't access. But one draft sat untouched, unsent, time-stamped 3 hours before she was escorted out. Subject: final drop. The drive will be in the CEO's bag before 9. Keating won't suspect. Intern will deliver backup folder. Cover plausible. My stomach flipped. I stared at the words until they stopped being words. She'd used me as camouflage. Her invisible intern. My badge. My timestamp. My face. I didn't screenshot it. I recorded it. A short video from my phone. The screen. The header. The cursor hovering over her email address. Proof in motion. Then I forwarded it to myself from her inbox. Just one click. And then to cover the trail, I sent it to one more place. The general company tip line for whistleblower reports. Anonymous by design. The moment I hit send, my phone rang again. Same blocked number. "You shouldn't have done that," the voice said. Calm male this time. "Who is this?" "Someone trying to keep you out of jail. You're already in too deep." "Then tell me what's going on." Silence, then a slow exhale. "You think she's the only one who had access to that drive? Think bigger, kid." Click. The line went dead. I sat there, pulse hammering, recording still running on my phone. The red dot blinked like a heartbeat. That's when I noticed something through the rearview mirror. A man in a dark jacket standing by the exit gate. Not moving. Staring down at a phone. He wasn't security. Wrong stance. Wrong shoes. I turned the key, eased out of the parking spot, merged into the exit lane, kept my eyes forward. My palms were slick on the steering wheel. By the time I reached the street, the man was gone. That night, a new email hit my inbox, from Keating himself. "Evan, please meet me at 7:30 tomorrow morning, quietly. Do not mention this to anyone. MK." The email was short, too short, but it carried something between the lines. Not accusation, curiosity. I stared at it until the edges of the screen went blurry. Something in the air had shifted. Riley was gone, but the story wasn't over. That night, I stopped being the intern. The office felt different before sunrise. Still sterile, the hum of lights echoing down the empty corridor. I'd never seen it like that, the kind of silence that comes before something breaks. Keating's door was half open. He was inside, sleeves rolled, tie gone, coffee untouched. He looked up the moment I appeared. "Evan," he said, "close it." His voice wasn't sharp. It was heavy. I did as told. My reflection in the glass looked pale and small beside him. The invisible intern again, except now he was looking directly at me. "Sit," he said. I sat. He slid a folder across the desk. Compliance sent me their preliminary findings. "You've been mentioned." I figured. He nodded slowly, studying my face. "But here's the thing. Someone forwarded me a recording late last night. A screen capture of Ms. Hart's email drafts from her own account. You know anything about that?" I didn't lie. "Yes, sir, I found it." He leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, unreadable. "You realize that technically accessing her inbox was a breach?" "Yes. But without it, she would have buried this company." He said it like he was tired of pretending rules were neat. I stayed quiet. The morning light spilled through the blinds, drawing lines across his desk like bars. Finally, he spoke again. The authorities were called. "There'll be statements later today. You may have to repeat what you saw." "I understand." He nodded. "You did the right thing, Evan." That sentence felt both like forgiveness and an order to forget. He stood, walked to the window, hands in his pockets. "Funny thing," he said, staring out at the city. "You think you know who's loyal, who's not. Then someone at the bottom saves your entire career by paying attention." I didn't know what to say, so I said nothing. "Go home," he said finally. "We'll contact you if we need more." I walked out without a word, heart steady for the first time in 2 days. The elevator doors closed behind me, and the mirror showed a face I almost didn't recognize. Tired, older somehow, but calm. Outside, police cars were parked by the main entrance. 2 men in suits led Riley through the lobby, wrists in front, no resistance. Her face was pale, but her eyes found me. For a second, neither of us looked away. She mouthed something. "You were never supposed to see that." Then she was gone. Into the car, into the noise, into someone else's problem. I walked toward the sidewalk. The air was cold enough to sting, but clean. A few early commuters glanced at the scene. Curious, detached, already forming their own versions of what happened. Stories always multiply faster than truth. My phone buzzed. A single new message. Unknown number. "You did what she couldn't." No signature. I deleted it. By noon, my inbox filled with official apologies wrapped in corporate language. "We appreciate your cooperation. Thank you for your professionalism. This matter is now closed." No one said the word sorry. No one ever does, but I didn't need it. That night I sat on my small apartment balcony, watching the city breathe. Headlights stretching like veins, windows flickering in rhythm. My laptop was shut. My phone was face down. Somewhere downtown, a company was rebuilding itself around a story they'd never tell correctly. Somewhere in an evidence locker, a black pouch sat labeled and numbered. Somewhere in an interrogation room, Riley was learning what temporary oversight really meant. I didn't feel victorious, just done. When people talk about justice, they imagine noise, sirens, shouts, a crowd clapping when the villain falls. But real justice is quiet. It happens in rooms you'll never see, under fluorescent lights, while you're drinking cold coffee and pretending to be small. The next day, my badge worked again. Green light, 3 short beeps. I walked in, nodded to the guard, and made it to my desk before anyone noticed. The air smelled like cleaner and change. New nameplate on the door next to mine. Interim managers. Evan Ward. It felt strange, not triumphant, just right. I sat down, opened a new document, and typed the day's date. My reflection in the monitor didn't look like a kid anymore. They'll rewrite what happened. They'll say it was an internal audit, a system error, maybe even a rogue employee. That's fine. They can keep their version. Mine's simpler. Sometimes you survive not because you fight, but because you see. And when you see the wrong thing at the right time, you don't look away. I leaned back, exhaled, and smiled. Small, private, enough. Guess skipping work was the smartest thing I've ever done.